What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right. So, um, just saw something from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, better known by her initials AOC. She is a Democratic congresswoman from, I believe, the state of New York, and a rising star in the Democratic Party. And she recently stated her disapproval for the removal of President Joe Biden from the Democratic ticket, saying that she just didn't think that there was enough of a concrete case for his ouster as the uh, leader of the Democratic Party. But she accuses the Democratic leadership, or at least many of the Democratic leadership, of having a more nefarious motive behind just removing Joe Biden because of age and other issues. So she stated about the whole situation. She talked about this recently on a video. I don't know exactly what platform it was. I'm trying to look now. She was on Instagram. So she said on the Instagram video about Joe Biden being removed, quote, "I have not seen the fully laid out bulletproof data case." She stated that since there is no consensus on an alternative for Biden, adding that many people who have called for his exit are not looking for Harris to take over, saying, quote, "A huge amount of the donor class and a huge amount of these elites and a huge amount of these folks in these rooms that I see that are pushing for President Biden to not be the nominee also are not interested in seeing the vice president being the nominee." The New York Democrat also added that several legal issues could arise if Biden steps down. She said it is imperative for people to consider the stakes of the upcoming election, with ballot deadlines looming and potential GOP legal challenges that could end up before the U.S. Supreme Court, which has a conservative majority. I have not, quote, "I have not seen a scenario, an alternative scenario that I feel does not set us up for enormous peril." And then she talked about other things about why we can't lose to the Democratic Party. But basically, the gist of it is, what I'm trying to get at is, she's saying that basically what the top class is trying to do is not just get rid of Biden, but the whole ticket. Because, see, if there's a scenario that happens where Joe Biden gets reelected, let's say he stays on and somehow some minor miracle occurs or some miracle occurs and he gets reelected to a second term, excuse me. Some of them are afraid of the chance that Joe Biden resigns during the second term, because I do believe there are underlying health issues that they're covering up. Or, something more tragic happens, boom, she becomes president. And that's happened quite a few times in this country's history. A president either dying or, in one instance, stepping aside, and the vice president becoming president. It happened in 1841 when William Henry Harrison died. John Tyler became president. It happened in 1850 when Zachary Taylor died, and Millard Fillmore, when the vice president, became president. It happened in 1865 when Lincoln was assassinated. Andrew Johnson, his vice president, became president. 1881, James A. Garfield was assassinated. Chester Arthur, his vice president, became president. 1901, William McKinley succumbs to his wounds. Theodore Roosevelt becomes president. 1923, Warren G. Harding died in office. Calvin Coolidge became president. 1945, FDR dies just 82 days into his fourth term. Harry Truman becomes president. Lyndon Johnson became president after the Kennedy assassination. Ford became president, Gerald Ford, when Nixon resigned. So it's happened quite a few times. And there's, in many people's eyes, a chance that if Joe Biden steps aside or something worse happens, Kamala becomes president, and they don't want her to become president. Now, some of this has to do with the fact that they don't want what they perceive to be a black woman becoming president. Let's be honest. AOC alluded to that. That's very true. Now, in my opinion, I don't give a shit because, first of all, I don't consider her a black woman because when she ran for office, for the Senate, she called herself Indian American. She has explicitly stated she's never going to do anything for Black America, although she has done things for Indian Americans. If you look into her record, which is what she really claims to be, she just pretends to be black, for political reasons. So I'm not capping for her, but AOC is 100% correct. The Democratic Party is racist too, which is what I've always been saying. Look, remember, I think it was about 2 years ago when the former governor of Virginia, Ralph Northam, had the scandal. It might have been 2.5 years ago when he had the scandal when those pictures came out, I guess back in the 80s or whatever it was, with him in blackface in college. And there was calls for him to resign. I mean, it got that close for him to resign. I mean, it got that close where it was going to push him aside. You know what happened? All of a sudden, his lieutenant governor, Justin Fairfax, a black man, I think he was in his 40s. All of a sudden, this scandal came out where a woman said all of a sudden, oh, he assaulted me in college. It just popped up out of the blue and pushed the Ralph Northam stuff off the headlines. And everybody was so outraged, and it politically ruined Justin Fairfax. You don't think that was by coincidence? Do you think that was a coincidence, I should say, that popped up just as Ralph Northam was teetering on the brink of resigning? Ralph Northam was able to survive because Justin Fairfax was damaged, and it pushed that off the headlines. And the Democratic elites in the state of Virginia protected Ralph Northam because they didn't want Justin Fairfax to become governor. They didn't want a black man to become. So miss me with all this. The Republican Party is the party of the races, and the Democratic Party is a party for us. They're not. Both parties are against us. And just to prove I'm fair and balanced, remember the Republican Party years ago when Herman Cain actually was briefly the Republican frontrunner? Then all of a sudden, these white women just got trotted out, and all of a sudden they accuse him of harassment and all this stuff. And then as soon as he bowed out, they just disappeared, probably with cash in hand, into the wilderness. They don't want one of us in a leadership position. And if one of us are in a leadership position, if one of us do happen to be in a leadership position, then there has to be some sort of tie, some sort of link to their community. Whether that person is biracial or that person is married to someone of a different persuasion, there has to be some tie. They will not and do not want someone who is purely for our community, and especially someone who was born here. They usually want something, you know what? I don't need to go into specifics, man. A lot of people just, they're going to believe what they want to believe. They're going to ignore what I'm saying, stick to basketball too raw because you're just a nigger who only, your small brain only knows about basketball. So stop talking about topics that are above you. You know what I'm saying? And I get these types of comments, by the way. privately. But anyway, yeah, I'm not surprised by this. They don't want someone that they consider inferior to be in that position. No, they need someone they can trust. They need someone they can trust, or someone they have leverage with. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with AOC. Yeah, the Democratic leadership, elites, the donors, the party leaders. Um, she said she heard some of the conversations they had, and a lot of it was racist. Doesn't surprise me. Like I said, both parties are racist. Anyway, that's all I got to say about it.